Hi everybody, Tim Bartz here, Law McArthur Ford, Salina, Kansas, your Ford video guy. Today is Tuesday. It is November 30th, 2021. So with another episode number 16 here. I think my audio levels look like they should be good here. So let me know if you're not hearing any audio, or if it's lower than what the ads were or the music. Let me know that as well, so I can tweak those levels there. But I think we'll get started here. I do want to do a little bit of introduction, kind of talk about some things. Now, don't forget, do want to welcome in all the subscribers that already subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you're not a subscriber, don't forget, hit that red subscribe button down below there. Real quick, you can do that without leaving the video. Hit that notification bell that's right beside it. That just allows you to get notified when we have another video that goes live on our YouTube channel, or when the stream goes live. So you'll get a notification 30 minutes before the stream goes live, or you should have. I didn't get one today, but never know about YouTube. And then you should get one when the stream goes live. Hopefully most of you did get notified here, and it looks like we got a pretty good number in. Also, don't forget too, we do have membership available too. So if you want to learn a little bit more about it, right beside the subscribe button is a join button. You'd click on that to learn a little more information about our different membership and some of those different perks that we have there going on. And of course, too, anytime if you answered a question, or you learned something today, smash that like button. I'd really appreciate it. It does help get the video out there to more and more people. And feel welcome to, at the end of this, if you want to share this stream out, it will go live after this. After we go live, once the stream ends, it does need to render it and everything. Do whatever YouTube needs to, but then it'll be live for everybody else. So feel free to share that link out there to your friends on your social media sites, whatever you want to do there, and get that message out. Also, don't forget, we are recording this on the audio format. So basically, I'll take this video and create an audio format of this, and it'll be on our podcast. We created a podcast. You can find it on your local podcast websites if you want, but I also did create a page on our website. So you can go right to lawmcarthur.com/fordvideoguy. And you can find that all the streams right there as well. And you can put it with or without the hyphen. Either way, it redirects to our website with the hyphen there. So that's I put that link in the description, so you can check that out below. And then don't forget, if you have any questions during the stream, and maybe you want to make sure you put that at Law McArthur in front of it, so that I can see it more prominently. It shows up on my screen as orange, so that way I'll be able to, it just pops right out, so I can see those questions. We'll answer those questions here in a little bit, but that way I can get those questions. But also on our, you can also email them to me at fordvideoguy@gmail.com. That address is right there with the questions above all the social media links. You can find me on social media sites. I'm at Tim Bartz. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Law McArthur if you want to follow those. So all that information's out of the way now. What we want to do is we're gonna go through some of the Ford news, some of the scheduling notes, and some Ford news real quickly here in the first 10-15 minutes, and then later here at about 45 minutes on the hour, so 7:45, I have a topic I want to discuss. So we'll answer some questions in between there, some first questions that come in through the chat and everything. And then I have a topic I want to talk about, which you did see it in the title there, talking about the Maverick Hybrid, some things that we need to take note of. So I listed some of those in the description. So we're going to talk about those here at 7:45. So if you don't want to listen to all the questions, or you don't want to listen to the news, but you want to get that, hear the discussion that some things that I have to say about the hybrid orders, you can come back at 7:45 and check it out there. Or if you're watching this video and you want to get right to that timestamp, it's going to be at that 52-minute time span on the actual stream of the video there. So, okay. So let's get right into it. Now, videos this last week, I didn't have a lot of videos because of Thanksgiving that I put out there for Law McArthur, but on my own personal channel, which is also in the description if you want to check it out, I do have the video that I did on my walk around on my Bronco. So it's kind of long. Again, it's on my personal channel, so I kind of just did it the way I wanted to. Felt pretty comfortable with it. Discussed some of the things and the process of me ordering the Bronco, when I ordered, why, how that all went, how I ordered the Bronco, and how I chose that and that kind of thing. And then I went around, talked about the equipment on it, and some of the, kind of tweaked at some of the things, or kind of gave you a few little sneak peeks that there's some things I'm going to do to the Bronco as well here in the future. Also, some upcoming videos. Don't have anything on the slate. Blake and I are going to do a video on the Super Duty Roush package here probably Thursday. So hopefully by the end of the week we'll have that video go live as well. Other than that, don't have too much going on. So now let's talk about getting into the scheduling and what vehicles are scheduling this week, and kind of start with the Bronco Sport. So the Bronco Sport is scheduling this week, and for those of you that have orders with us, we do have 7 allocations, and it looks like that Ford is saying that we should get 7 scheduled this week. Echo Sport is also scheduling, and it looks like we have 2 allocations this week. Escape also is scheduling, and we do have 2 Escape allocations for this week. Explorer is also scheduling. We have 9 allocations this week for those. 21 Expedition is scheduling. So 22 is going to be next week, or next week is when 22 Expedition is going to start scheduling, which I'm kind of looking forward to hearing about that because I do have one on order. But right now, this week, are going to be some 21s that are being scheduled, and we're supposed to have 4 allocations. Also, 21 Mustang also has, we don't have any allocations for that this week, but 21 Mustang will be scheduled. And again, just like with the Expedition, those are going to start scheduling. The 22s will start scheduling next week. And then also Mach-E is also scheduling this week. So we have a couple allocations. I noticed one of those was previewing already today. Maverick is also going to be scheduling, and this is going to be a big week for Maverick. So if those of you that have have some out there and going, oh, probably not going to get selected again this week, us as a dealership, this is the biggest number we've had so far in a way of allocations for Maverick. We still have 117 allocations to be scheduled, and they should all get scheduled this week. So according to our dashboard, they are saying that we're going to get 117 allocations this week. So far, we've only seen about 27 of those previewed, and that just means that those 27 are probably going to get scheduled. But it's only Tuesday, so I know some people had put some posted out there, how many vehicles they were previewing and such, and on social media, we're wondering how many we had. So far, only our EcoBoost are scheduling or previewing, so we're still gonna, I'll look at it again tomorrow and again Thursday morning. But this should be a big week for Maverick, and it looks like they are scheduling for the entire month of January this week. So if you have an order out there, I think, especially if you have a hybrid order and you ordered in June, July, August, I think this is a week you should be checking your emails on Thursday morning. Keep refreshing, because I think this will be a big week for you, and hopefully you get scheduled. Also, Ranger is also scheduling this week. That is 22 Ranger. We do have 1 allocation. Also, 22 F-150 is scheduling this week. We have 55 allocations for F-150. So, again, this is a big week for us for F-150 as well. Super Duty, we do have 1 allocation that is scheduling. Transit Connect, Transit, we don't have any allocations for those. And then on the Lincoln side, we do have Aviator, Corsair, and Nala scheduling this week. And then, I didn't see anything where they notated anything on the Navigator, but I assume it's going to be like the Expedition, so probably 21 Navigator could schedule, as well as 22 Navigator will start scheduling next week. So I kind of went over all those. All right, now I do want to go over some things that I noticed this week getting on Ford.com. Some people are looking for the build and price on a couple vehicles. So I was going to run through some of the 22 build and prices that are available right now, and looks like they've tweaked all the way the layout is for about all the vehicles, and the way they did for the Bronco Sport and the Bronco last year. So 22 build and price is now up and running on the Bronco Sport. Bronco has been for a little while. Escape, Explorer, Edge, Mach-E, Super Duty, and Transit Connect. All those vehicles have the 22 build and price available on Ford.com. So if you're wanting to build out one of those, I know Escape wasn't just the other day, and now it is today. So there's several of those. So those are starting to be available. So you're going to start seeing more and more of those vehicles showing up. Of course, 22 Maverick as well. I forgot to mention that one. Didn't put that on here. But that also, the build and price is available on the website too. All right, so just real quickly, briefly go over some of the Ford in the news and what's going on there. So there are, the Ranger was, the 23 Ford Ranger for Europe was revealed, in fact, about a week ago. It was like Wednesday morning, early morning here. That was released. They showed images. I do have a link down in the description right now. I did refresh that and put that in there about 5 minutes before the stream went live. So you can see a link to an article where there's some pictures. In fact, I was going to show you some pictures. So let me go over here to my some of the pictures. So here's what the look is. So if you're watching this live stream on YouTube here, you can see the Ford Ranger pictures that I have. So real nice refresh. Kind of, as you can see, that grill does look a lot like the Maverick. So if you have a Maverick on order, you can kind of see some of that come through. Even the lights, the headlights look real similar to the Maverick as well. So they're kind of trying to mirror some of that. Even the hood and everything, I think, looks a lot like the Maverick. So some nice upgrades there. It is going to be some things to note here is that it will get a more in Europe. They do have a 2.0 liter diesel engine, so diesel engine is very important there in Europe. So the Ford is going to be getting a more powerful turbo diesel engine. So now they're going to have a V6 diesel option as well as a 2.0 diesel engine available. They're not going to have a hybrid yet, but they said in the future they are looking for electrification option in 2024, and it's expected to be a plug-in hybrid available. So also for the new design of the Ranger, it will be have a new interior tech, a longer wheelbase, 50 millimeters longer and 50 millimeters wider. So it's going to be longer and wider. So it is really kind of, extending it, making it separate, making it more of a midsize. Well, it already is a midsize, but to really separate it from the Maverick is what they're trying to do there. So let me show you some other pictures here. So there's it is going to get the work surface like the F-150 does right now. Of course, F-150 isn't available in Europe, so this is the truck. They did actually, I did something to note. They did say that the Ranger is a #1 selling truck in 20 European countries over there. So it is 40% of the truck sales are the Ford Rangers. You can see how important the Ranger is to the Ford lineup globally here in what's going on in Europe. So you can kind of see some of that and some of the different looks there. And you can see some things from the Maverick as well. Those slots there for those 2x4s that go in there. So you can kind of see maybe they're giving a couple different things there that you might see on the Maverick that stem from it. Plus the clamps on the back, a workstation, work surface, just like the F-150 gets as well. So let's see if I have some more. I have some interior pictures here. Let's look at those. You can see there's the interior of the dash. Of course, again, this is a European version, so it's the steering wheel's on the right side there. But we'll have available either a 10.1 inch center stack screen or a 12-inch center stack screen on the interior, as well as a new digital instrument cluster as well. So some great features there. Here, take a look at the seat configuration here. There you go. So you can kind of see what that looks like. That really has some similarities when you look at the console and such to really like the Bronco Sport and different things there. So it kind of has some of that look to it, but it looks pretty sharp. It is going to be available in regular cab, super cab, and super crew. They're calling it a double cab in Europe, but it is what you're seeing here. And they said that most of the vehicles are ordered with this configuration, but they do give you that flexibility of the others because this is a big commercial truck for them, just like the F-150 is for the USA. And so there is they want to have that flexibility for those commercial owners by having a regular cab and a super cab version as well. So anyway, there's some of those pictures there. So some other notes on the Ranger. The new Ranger is they said that the new Ranger will be sold in 180 countries globally. They said no plans have been announced yet for the U.S., but they should add the new redesign at a later date. So we will should see the Ranger here soon, and then let's see what else did I mention that I wrote down. Also, the zone lighting, like you see in the F-150, is going to be available on that, and then also the driving lamp, the C-clamp driving lamp around the front of it too. So, so pretty cool. So that's that's over in Europe. It's not here yet, and it's not going to be soon, but that is something to be excited about for those that have a Ranger, want an upgraded Ranger. We will see that in the U.S. Eventually. So, they're saying deliveries in 23 for the Ranger, being able to order them in 22. So maybe a year after that, maybe we'll see it in the U.S. So we'll just see there. But you can tell the Ranger is a very important vehicle for them globally, especially in Europe, because it is a big seller there since they don't have the F-150. So I think that's very important for Ford to have the Ranger and be a great seller and be a good being able to advance it like they are. So also Carbuzz Awards, or Carbuzz did their yearly awards. We're going to see a lot of awards here in December. The different magazines will do their different awards. We talked about some last week. This week there were two vehicles that did show up on the Carbuzz Awards. One of them I think is really cool, and I do have a link to the article down in the description as well. So one of the awards that they that the Maverick won was the People's Car. So the People's Car Award went to the 22 Ford Maverick, and I couldn't but agree with that. So that is, I think that's just right down the alley there, because there are a lot of people that want the Ford or the Ford Maverick, just because of the versatility that it has and the flexibility, having a hybrid, having being on Super Crew, being kind of on a unibody, so it has a great ride to it and everything else. A lot of the reasons you guys that are in the stream have come over to the Maverick, you can see why it's won that award. Also, the 2021 Ford Bronco won the Off-Road Warrior Award, and driving the Bronco, I could agree with that as well. So anyway, so those are some pretty cool awards, and there's some other brands that won as well, but I just wanted to mention those two Ford vehicles in there. Last thing I want to talk about is, some of you already know and already been thinking about the Fit system, that little plug that can go on in the back of the console, as well as in and underneath the seat. And so I actually have a question for a lot of you out there, and I'd like to get your ideas on what would you like to see. What would you like to see out there created that people could 3D print for you, that you would love to see on the back of the console, or maybe underneath the seat, that you could see use, and to just kind of like to get your idea out there. My son actually has a 3D printer, so he has already has the mold for the insert, and that fits perfectly. In fact, actually, it's in my jacket. I can't reach it from here, but it already checked it out. It fits perfectly into that, and so he's gonna do. He is kind of into engineering, so he's already engineered some cup holders that are actually printing as we speak. They were not done before I was able to come to work for me to bring to show you, but he's got some cup holders that are. He really thinks outside the box on this. He's made it to where they'll fit the big 33-ounce like Yetis. And two of them side by side, and it should be strong enough for both those to stay in there with liquid in them, and still have some space in between to be able to take your phone to the phone charger behind that. So if there's some things you'd like to see 3D printed, he'd like to have some ideas there, and he is going to be selling those on Etsy. So something to think about. Or if you want to reach out to me, I'm sure I could work you out a deal there on those as well. So but yeah, throw in some of those and tag in those. I know he's going to be watching the stream tonight, checking that out to see what you guys are wanting there. So I'll let him know at the right around this time slot where that's going to be. So anyway, I want to get your ideas on some of those out there for you. So I told him about some things that I'd seen online, some people had tried to do, but I think he's really he basically is going to engineer these himself. So what he's made, the cup holder so far that he's made, he completely engineered that himself and thought through the structure and everything of that. So, okay, so let's dive into some of the questions here. So I'm going to actually scroll up here. So if you don't see your question right away, and if you just posted it, just give me some time, because I did see some here as I was talking that flashed up on the screen. So we'll get into some of these. Oh, here we go. All right, so let's see here. Not sure how far I can go. There, they keep going. All right, so one of the members, Ward, you got your notebook. Good, good. So glad you like it. So I use mine every day, so hopefully you do like it. Okay, Zach, looking to make sure I can get some accessories, or when I pick up my Maverick. How far in advance should my dealer order them? I would probably say once you get the notification that your vehicle's been shipped out, I'd say that's a good time. So about a month ahead is I think is a good time. That's what I did on the Bronco, and then really there were some of those accessories that I wasn't able to get on the Bronco yet because they're not ready. They weren't ready until after SEMA, but for the Maverick, all those are available. A lot of those are available. So I would get with your parts aftermarket department probably when your vehicle once you got that build date, it's built, that's probably when you should go in, because a lot of times they may say, well, it's kind of far in advance. So, but once you get that built and say, well, it's on the way to you guys, so they give them 4 weeks to get those parts in. Sorry. All right. So Mick, he said, since I have an order through your dealership, my question is, I asked to remove some items off my build, but I'm not sure if those changes were made. Would I have to just assume it? We should be the salesperson should print a new copy and be sending it to you. But if you want to email me at timothybarts@gmail, I'll make sure and send you a copy of what we have and make sure those changes were made. And keep in mind, we have about 185 orders that are in priority 2, and in priority 2, we can't make changes to those. So those we won't be able to make changes to, but if it's still in 10, we can. All right, Brandon asked, my XL Hybrid has been in production since 11/19. How long does a truck usually take to build? 1 day. So it will build in 1 day. So you'll get a build date. So a lot of times it'll say, now if it says it's in production, you should have got an email that told you what your build week is. So it may say the week of, like right now, it would say the week of the 29th this week, and so that'll be your build week. And so then you should, like a lot of times on mine, actually I got an email like the Friday before my build week that told me my build day. So it'll give you a scheduled to week and then scheduled to day, and then I got that build date. And so that's the day it was built. So I got my email from my Bronco said it was, October, or the week of October 6th. And then the Friday before, I got one that says it's going to be October 8th. So my Bronco was built on the 8th. It'll be built that day and then shipped out. So if yours says in production since 11/19, look and see what your production date was supposed to be, or your build date was supposed to be, your week. You need to go off of that. All right. Tom says, how long should you wait to receive an email confirmation for my Maverick build? Dealership said it was ordered. It should be within 5 minutes. As long as they put your email address into the order, then you should get that email within 5 minutes from them submitting the order. So, and I hope you ordered a EcoBoost. Let's see. Okay, Gloria said, any first edition hybrids scheduled today? Nothing was scheduled today. They usually schedule on Thursdays. We have 13 hybrids that are on order. Actually, most of them have been built already, and that we should be seeing hopefully get shipped out soon. So, and we're going to talk more about that here in just a little bit at 7:45 here. Okay, move on down. All right, JR says on Escape plug-in hybrid SEL will be might scheduled this week or maybe. Okay, I know that you would have had a Escape SEL hybrid on order, and I'm not sure. We do have a couple, what did I say, 2 allocations for this week. I did not look and see if your order was being previewed as one of those. I don't think any of the Escapes are previewing yet, but again, tomorrow will be a day for us to look that up and be able to see. But, hopefully, not sure if when yours, I think we had got yours all scheduled out on Monday, and hopefully that wasn't too late to get in for this week, but you should be getting, we don't have too many orders for Escape, so we should hopefully get yours scheduled real soon. All right, moving on down. All right, so Josh said, I'd like to see someone 3D print something for that Kubbi next to the infotainment center screen. Yeah, that would be, I mean, I've seen a lot of people, or I've heard about a lot of people, what are they putting in that little spot right over there. So I have actually seen, I thought it was really interesting, some people put a phone holder and they suction cupped it to the side because it's kind of slick enough that you can suction cup it to the side and use one of those phone holders that kind of extends out. So I think that's a good idea for that. I'm trying to find a good one for my Bronco since there's not really a spot to put my phone. All right, that thing just refreshed on me. All right, link his Etsy account in the vid. I'd like to check it out. Okay, I know he's setting it up. I don't know if he has it set up yet, but once we do, I will definitely do that. So we'll get that going there. He's working on printing a couple things so that he can get that going. So that's what he's working on this week. So, all right, fit accessory for your mobile phone holder. That'd be a great idea. I know I've seen some people had tried to do that. So for a mobile phone. So just to be able to put the phone in, probably maybe upright or sideways. So okay, that's some good ideas. So secure tablet holder, food tray for both sides with cup holders. That might get a little tricky, especially how if you go too far away from that, where that goes into that, may struggle in getting and keeping it from not breaking. On some of those, I don't know. So I know he thinks about structure and such like that and how it works, but all right. So move on down. Okay, Josh says yes, thank you for the notebook. No problem. Okay, how are we doing here? Sophie says, I got an email on late August what was going to be billed on September 9th, but it's, oh, sorry, screen moved on me. There we go. But it's been in production ever since. What does this mean? So more than likely you have a hybrid, I would assume. With that information, I'm led to believe you probably have a hybrid, and it'll say in production status until it ships. Then it'll say it's in transit status, I believe. And so probably you have a hybrid, so they should be going out real soon. So again, we'll talk about that at 7:45 here, a little bit more. So, all right, Greg, Tim, how many Mavericks can be produced in a day? I don't know that answer. I don't know if anybody really knows that answer. I think some people are speculating and such, what they think they can be built, but I don't think anybody really knows there. All right, so Paul asked, I have the email with the build week of 1-3. Will the email with the build day have the window sticker link active? Typically it is. A lot of times when you first get scheduled and get that VIN, sometimes it'll actually have a link there where you can look up your window sticker. But then it usually goes away until like the week before. I know with mine, I had the VIN number, and I even have a system where I can put a VIN number in our internal database and get a window sticker, and it wasn't available until like that Friday before. Once I got scheduled today and that week, that's when I could actually see my window sticker. So probably that's going to be the same way for you, Paul. Okay, and then JR says, okay, thank you. So all right, so I got those questions, but we got a little bit of time here. Any other questions there? I'm answering those pretty quick there. I actually planned on talking about some things. Oh, also, I have a couple other questions here. Someone had asked, I think on one of the forums, they asked about the XLT luxury package with the spray and bed liner. Someone's said that their dealer says that that's being delayed. I don't think so. I really think that that's probably just, I don't know what that is. You see a lot of things where salespeople don't know the answers, or, they're people are calling in to check on the status of their vehicle that hasn't been scheduled, and so sometimes it's easier, I think, for some salespeople to just say that it's being delayed instead of actually saying, we just just being honest with them and letting them know that, hey, we just don't have it. It hasn't been scheduled yet, and it's just going to take some time to get through all these orders. So at this case, I don't believe that it's being delayed. Let me check my email real quick, because I did email the brand manager. Have not gotten a response back yet, but I do have an email into the brand manager to kind of ask him if that's true or not. I like to be able to answer all your questions, but I believe that's not accurate. I mean, we know that the spray and bed liner can be delayed, but not like a long delay. And I think that's what they were kind of referring to, was that it could be a 23 before it's going to be, and that's not true. So I don't believe that there's any fear of that happening there. So let's see. Tom asked, Tim, thanks for answering my question regarding the email confirmation. I now can assume the dealer did not submit my order. Hopefully they did. All right. Mark asked, does living in Canada affect hybrid Maverick from being built? No, it should not. And I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming those are getting built and scheduled and such, just like they are in the U.S. All right. Who notifies me about production date, Ford or my dealer? That would be in your email. As long as your dealer put your email address into your order, then you should have been notified. You should have gotten an email from Ford. So when Ford triggers those different things, when your vehicle gets scheduled, then Ford will send you the email, not the dealer. And then also when it's been built, you should get an email as well, and several steps through the process, and that should come from Ford, not from your dealer. If your dealer didn't put your email address in there, then you would have to get it from your dealer, and your dealer can look it up, but they'd have to, like, we get a note, we are able to see all the vehicles that were scheduled each week. So like this Thursday, what we typically do is a person that does all the ordering, she goes through all the ones that were scheduled that day, and she notifies all the salespeople that here's the customer that just got scheduled, so that they can reach out to them if they need to. So they should be able to do that, but not all dealers have someone like we have here. Meredith does an extremely great job of being able to communicate that out to the sales guys. And then, of course, it does take the sales guys going through and actually calling the customers, but hopefully that does happen quickly as well. All right. Ridgeview, you need. Did you email me? You need to email me so that I can get that sent to you there, because I didn't. I actually was surprised I didn't get an email from you. But if you could email me your address, I probably have it already. But go ahead and email that back, or I can get it from Maverick Mike and get that sent off to you. So I can even send you a couple because I know maybe you want a couple. So. All right. Any other questions there? And I think I answered the question about the XLT luxury package. All right. And then do have, let me go through the emails. I have a couple questions for the emails here. All right. All right. I think it's Steven or Stefan. He had asked, I placed an order with my dealer on 10/7 and called Ford to verify it. It was in the system. The dealer did not submit the ROVP until 11/15, and the ROVP was approved on 11/20. Do you know what date Ford will look at for prioritizing the build scheduling? It seems like there's some possible dates. 10/7. Okay, it would go off of the 10/7. So the submitting the order is the what triggers that time of where you fit in line of everybody else's orders. But they won't look at them until the ROVP paperwork is in and it's been approved. So once it's approved, then they'll start looking at it in order, and so that should put you in that line of 10/7. So, and again, it's not always based on when you ordered. Sometimes it's always what you ordered and how you ordered your vehicle. So keep that in mind as well. So sometimes there can be some people that can get moved up above other people that ordered before them, based on how simple they build their vehicle versus somebody else that wants a lot of options put on there. So keep that in mind as well. All right, so Jay asked, okay, Jay's is real long, so let me just go through some of this. My Maverick was shipped from Mexico 10/15. I received a call from my dealer telling me that it was would have it by 10:30. The website updated and showed it was delivered. It will be delivered 11/7. Then updated to show 11/11. I went to the dealer and asked what was going on. It looks like there was, so basically it was delayed. It was like it's sitting at about 100 miles from them, and they're not able to see that. And this is actually a common occurrence. Not real common for most people, but like we have a couple of Bronco orders right now where according to their system we have one that according to the system, the timestamp shows that it going clear to Kansas City, which is from the Michigan assembly plant, and then it shows it going back and going up into Canada. And what really happened was it didn't get off they didn't mark it off the train, and so it looked like it was still triggered that it was on the train heading back up to Canada when it really wasn't. So but then it took a little while. And we have somebody else that has one on order that was supposed to be here last week, that their date was last week and it still hasn't showed up. So you see a lot of this. I mean, once Ford puts it on a rail, puts it on, and they know where it's supposed to go, then it's supposed to go on the rail to an area close to it. For us, it's Kansas City. And then it needs to get picked up by a transport company that goes on a car hauler and then comes down to us. Sometimes that can take a little while to get enough of our vehicles onto a car hauler to make one trip down here. And so usually when we get some dropped off, we get a shipment of 6 at a time, or we get four to 6 at a time, with maybe a car or two from a dealership that's in between Kansas City and us. So that sometimes happens as well. So just keep that in mind. So there is nothing. I mean, I know they called and they said they were frustrated with the dealership, but there really isn't anything the dealership can do, and there's really not anything that Ford can do. Ford can try to track it and try to wrangle it and find it and make sure it gets on shipped, but really there's not a lot they can do. It's really, once the shipping company picks it up, it's kind of in their hands, and so we're kind of at liberty of that. So that is some frustrating thing sometimes. I know we have a couple different Bronco orders where that's past the date, and we noticed on our Bronco orders, mine came the day after, because usually, now keep in mind, there is a time frame there. Usually give you about a week, so they'll give you a date that might say, okay, the 30th through the 5th, or 29th through the 5th, right? So you have that range. Just expect it's going to show up on no sooner than the 5th, because you're better off that way, because sometimes it can come a little quicker, and sometimes it just depends on your location. But I would, if I were you, go off that last day as the day it's going to get there. Like mine was due by November November 2nd, and it came on the 3rd. So mine came after my window. So just always be thinking about that. So let me go back over to live stream and see if I missed any questions that might have popped up from, maybe stem from that. All right, so yeah, Ridgeview, I'll make sure we get you some. Thanks for that, but great. All right. Party 10 is what everyone, as long with their gets put in as. Yes. Means that you aren't being previewed. Yeah. Sometimes a 10 can be previewed. And so just because you're in priority 2 doesn't mean like you're not going to get, I mean, a lot of, like we have 185 orders that are in priority 2, and not all of those necessarily are going to get scheduled. We only have 117 allocations, but it's ones that Ford would like to get built. So, or our region would like to get built. And the factory can choose which ones they want, but the region will kind of prioritize these. And then the factory might say, well, I know you want those, but we can't build all those. And so that's why sometimes those priority 2s will get skipped over that may be in priority 2 is because the factory then looks at them. So what happens is, as our dealership, we have all these orders, and we're sending those orders to the region. And then the region sees those, and then they preview and look through those on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then some of them they pull down into priority 2 because they don't want the dealership to change anything. It's like, okay, we would like to see these get scheduled. And so then they kind of send those priority 2s, typically priority 2s, sometimes even 10s, to the factory. And then the factory kind of picks from those, typically is what they try to do. And so usually they'll send more than what your allocations are to make sure you fulfill your allocations. So that's usually how that works. So even a 10 can actually get scheduled. It doesn't necessarily mean it gets, just because it's in priority 2, it doesn't mean it's going to get scheduled. So let's look, just out of curiosity here. So we have some Mavericks here. Like I said, we had 27 that are previewing. So I want to look and see of those ones that are previewing. Okay, so of our 27 that are previewing, by the way, the 27 that we have previewing right now so far are all EcoBoost vehicles, but it's only 27. And all of those, hold on, let me put these in order here. Okay, only 3 out of the 27 are a priority 2. The others are priority 10. So just because it's a 2 doesn't mean it gets looked at, so, or it gets pulled. So there are quite a few here. In fact, we have 2 of the one that are 2s are actually first editions. So we're gonna get some first editions possibly scheduled, it looks like. If there's any more first editions. So anyway, so yeah. So it's kind of, I mean, to be honest, I don't really know the algorithm, but I'm trying to figure things out as we go. But hopefully next week we'll get all of our schedule, and I'll be able to give you some numbers, some percentages, some facts, about how some of those schedules are, and see if we can kind of figure some things out. Yeah, priority 10 to 19 is usually means they're a retail purchase, a retail order, not a stock order. And so they're going to, most dealerships, will pick a number. Like all of ours are priority 10s. And so, but the default system is 19. So as long as everybody in the dealership they use the same number for every person, nobody within the dealership, no orders within that, from that dealership will get prioritized over others. If the dealer wanted to, they could make the default 10 and then say, hey, this is a customer that has bought 10 cars from us and they're a great customer. Let's bump him up above the others and give him priority. We don't do that, but the dealers could do that, and that's why there's a range. So sometimes some people, if they're a 19 or that they're anywhere from 11 to 19, they call the dealer and see if they can move them to 10 so that they can make sure theirs gets bumped to the top. All right, any others? Scroll back down. How's the weather in your area? Well, earlier it was kind of overcast and cloudy. And yesterday was beautiful. I had the top down on the Bronco yesterday when I went to lunch. It was a beautiful day. It was 68 degrees, and today it's been like 50 and kind of overcast and kind of cool in the 40s, I think. Not bad, but, not as nice as yesterday. All right, Ron says, how about a 2.5 times 3.5 cool looking Maverick logo to fit in the Kubbi space next to the center stack? That'd be cool. So evidently you've measured that. I haven't measured that opening, but that must be the size of it. But that would be pretty cool. The only problem is that the space is more portrait, um, whereas the Ford logo is more, more of a sideways. So landscape kind of a logo. So you'd have a lot of open space above and below. But maybe Ford, maybe Maverick in there too. That'd be something. That's a good idea. All right. Any other questions here? Got about 5 minutes here, and we'll get into our topic for the week. If you order in priority 2 and not scheduled this Thursday, can you request Ford Regional to move priority so it can add tow hitch? I think you can. I know that right now the region is kind of getting frustrated with some of these orders and what's going on with the order system, and there's a lot that are in priority 2. We have one that's we have one that's frustrating because it is in priority 2, and it's been in priority 2, and we haven't been able to take the. It's a front wheel drive with the 4K tow package that's in priority 2 that we can't make any changes to, but we need to because they will not build it. So we're trying to reach out to them so we can get that, so they can kick that back to a 10 so that we can make that change and add the all-wheel drive for that customer. But that customer's order won't get built. And so, yeah, we're dealing with some frustrations with that. So we've reached out on a couple orders. I know we had to on an F-150 order. I know that was like that, and they were able to do that. So we can try to do that. If you make sure you get your salesperson and have them get with me or email me, then we can try to see if we can call them on that one. We hate to call and bother them on too many, but in a situation like that where it doesn't get scheduled Friday, if it doesn't get kicked back to 10, then we can maybe say, hey, can you move this back because we want to add something or make one change to it. So maybe they could do that. All right, so it looks like somebody maybe asked a question and didn't tag. See if I can find it up here. Here it is. Hey, Tim, why haven't I received a build date for my hybrid with XLT package and 360 assist that has an order date of 7/29? Should I contact my dealer? I actually that's not surprising. We have what did I figure out? Actually, I wrote down some stuff I want to share with you guys today. Forgot I wrote those down. So just to kind of share with you, we have some orders that are in July as well that have not been scheduled. So that is not unheard of, especially a hybrid order right now. So as of the 26th, when I was looking this stuff up, which was last Saturday, we had 438 retail orders that had not been, 438 retail orders that were in there that hadn't already been delivered to customers. And of those, we have 389 that had still not been scheduled, and 302 of those were hybrids. So we have some orders even in June still that have not been scheduled on hybrids. So yeah, you have a build that should get built for soon, and I would really look for this week. Again, this is a huge week for everyone, and so I would really look at this being a week that maybe you should see, especially if you had a hybrid order in on June, July, maybe August, depending on the dealership. This is a week, Thursday. Hopefully you guys get scheduled, and hopefully Ford really looks at those since they've been in there so long that they kind of prioritize those, especially for those of you that have, XLT luxury package, which is very limited supply. Hopefully they can get those early ones scheduled this week. But again, that's really up to Ford and pulling those. But yeah, we haven't seen a lot of hybrids being scheduled. In fact, we've only had 13 hybrids that have been scheduled, and most of those, I believe, are built and should be shipping out soon. So if you have one of those 13 hybrids with us, you should hopefully see those. Well, we'll talk about that in just a second. In fact, it is about time to talk about that. It's 7:45, and I wanted to talk about tonight's main topic. So maybe I should wait 1 minute for those that are waiting on it. But I do want to talk about the hybrids. So I want, just like the title says, understanding the Maverick hybrid orders. And so, so I kind of want to talk a little bit about that because there's some things going out there on social media that I kind of want to kind of highlight. So I'm kind of waiting for the 7:45, kind of lingering on this and talking about this. But I do want to talk about this for a little bit because there are some people that are confused about this, some people that are concerned about it. And, and some people that, just like we talked about earlier, that have an early hybrid order that has not been scheduled. And so I kind of want to discuss, some of those things to kind of clarify some things for people out there, so that way you can go ahead and be thinking about that. So let me hold on a second. There we go. It is 7:45 now. So, okay. So one of the things to keep in mind is that Ford is not canceling orders. So there are some dealers out there telling customers that, oh, your order got canceled, and technically it didn't get canceled. What happened was the dealership wasn't able to get the documents into the ROVP by the deadlines. So because it wasn't, then that order is not going to be. Ford is not technically, Ford will cancel it, but it's not going to be built for 2022 because it was not. They did not get those in by the deadline. So those hybrids had to have been submitted by the 15th, and all the ROVP paperwork in by the 17th, and then Ford will review them as long as it was in there. Like, we have a couple where we had all the information, we submitted the documents, driver's license was a little blurry, so Ford did not approve it. They put a hold on it, and we can still resubmit those, but we had to at least start the submission process on that by the 17th. Also, people have asked, can you update those hybrid orders? Yes, you can. You cannot change an EcoBoost to a hybrid, but you can update your hybrid order. We have been able to do that so far. In fact, I did it to my hybrid order without any issues. That can be done as well. And it says also, when can you order a hybrid again? And that will be next summer. So we don't actually have dates for sure, but the 2023 order guides should come out in June so that we can start opening the order banks. They said they'll be able to be ordered again in June. So we don't know when in June, probably late June is what my recommendation would be, to kind of use that timeline. So what about if you want a hybrid, you didn't get yours in, what can you do about it? Well, here's my suggestion is that there are going to be some people that have a hybrid on order and they get something else, or especially if they had one on order this summer, that the dealers maybe not contacting them back and forth, and then that order is going to get scheduled, it's going to get built, and they can't for some reason they decide not to get their hybrid Maverick. So there are going to be some that might be available at dealers. So, I would kind of try to connect with your local dealership and say, hey, can you put me on a list? Can you do something so that if you get a hybrid, can you go ahead and let me know about that? We actually have one where we submitted the order before the deadline. In fact, he's my moderator, so we feel just terrible about it because we submitted the order, had everything submitted correctly or on time, early even, but the salesperson did drop the ball and did not get those documents into the person that submits those and the deadline passed. So that order is not going to get built. So we've already talked to that person, and said, what we're going to do is we'll keep you in mind. So we will probably have some people that might cancel their order, or they might want to, and that kind of thing. And what we'd like to do with the dealership is, hopefully, if there's anybody out there that is going to schedule or going to cancel their orders, to let us know. What we'd like to do is keep that order in there for people that want a hybrid that aren't able to order one, and so that we can use their order, make some changes if we want to, colors and different things like that, so that we can go ahead and help those customers out still. So if you did miss that deadline, or your dealership missed it, so see if they have any other hybrids in order, and just keep you in mind if one of those people cancel. We've actually had kind of several. In fact, today we have 2 Mavericks available right now. And one's on the website now. One will be on there tomorrow, because we have customers that didn't take those orders. We had 3 come in today, and one of them did not take the Maverick for different reasons. Usually, lately, the main reason has been that they either couldn't wait, they went ahead and got one. Maybe their car was breaking down and they had to go ahead and get one. That's been we've seen that a couple times, as well as some people that just financially weren't in the position where they could get a new vehicle at this present time, and so those become available. So and we do recommend that what we're wanting to do right now is, if if you are a customer out there that has one on order and you decide you're not going to take it and it hasn't been scheduled yet, please let us know so we can cancel that order. Except for hybrid, we may not do that on hybrid, just because we have to have a name match for a certain, like 70% of ours have to be matched to the order, to who it was ordered from, and so we have to be able to match those up as close as possible. There are going to be a few like we've had already, like the person in Florida last week, as well as the 2 that we have in stock, and we don't like to see that because you ordered it, you took the time to order it and wait for it, and we want that to be delivered to you. So hopefully that works out. But if for some reason it doesn't, let us know so we can cancel those that haven't been scheduled yet. Again, except for hybrid, we'll probably keep those. But it's just that way we can kind of get things correctly. So we are really big about following the rules, Ford's rules on that. We do partner with Ford, and we know it's very important to be in good standings with Ford. So we always follow the rules as close as we can, and we never have had an issue with that. In fact, because we have over 400 orders, we are kind of looked at a little bit more than other dealerships because making sure we get that name match. So we always follow those rules. Also, I know some people waiting for this because I did mention it. We did get the okay to buy on the hybrids. That did come out Monday. I didn't get any notification because usually the brand manager will let me know ahead of time. So I did see that on the Maverick Truck Club. They put that word out. I think there was that someone had found probably had talked to someone, and that's how they were able to get that information at that time. And just that was the day they did that. So we did get the okay to buy, and I did get an email from the brand manager and the marketing director of for Ford US, Mike Levine, and pretty much I'm going to read it word for word here because I think it's very valuable to kind of understand exactly how long this is going to take. So there's some people that have reached out to me and said, I have a hybrid order and it's already been built, and how come mine, I don't have a shipping date yet? And so they're real frustrated they don't have a shipping date yet. So just keep in mind there are a bunch of those hybrids that have been produced that are waiting to get shipped out, and that is a process. So it's not something that's going to just boom, boom, boom. It's going to happen right away. So they did say the first Maverick Hybrid pickups have received approval to start shipping to Ford dealers in early December, with customer deliveries expected to start in January. Now, I've seen some people that have delivery dates that are in December, though. So, not sure which is accurate. And like we said earlier, if some of those kind of fall over and they go outside that window like I have seen on the Broncos. So we have some that we're seeing delivery dates of the 22nd to the 26th or 28th, I think. So that's getting close to the end of December, but according to him, they said that they won't be at dealerships until January, or to start in January. So I'm not sure which is accurate because we do have some delivery dates and shipment dates of some people that have had theirs built, and they're supposed to be getting them at the end of this month or end of December. So we'll just see how that works out and how that comes once we start seeing those. But I would say wouldn't be any earlier than Christmas. So probably between Christmas and the 1st of January at the very earliest is when we can start seeing those. But time to get excited. So if you do have a Maverick that's already a hybrid that's already been ordered or been built, and you don't have a shipment date, just be patient. You'll get it. Again, there's several of them that were built, and it's going to be a process to get those. Even the brand manager said we are in the process of getting those shipped out. So again, they're the goal is to process them, have them ready, and have them with shipments not starting until December. So this is the last day of the month. That is tomorrow. So hopefully we see some of those start being shipped out and getting close to dealerships. So good news there. So, all right. Now we'll get into some questions. So that's everything I had about that. So if you have any questions regarding that, or if I confused any of you out there with that, drop that question in there. We can talk a little bit more about this. And how to, understand the hybrid orders and such like that. So I do appreciate, that. So I'm going to scroll back up here for a little bit. And all right, so Tom said, I just pulled up an email from my dealer preview order type stock, priority code 20. Should I worry? Yes, that is it is a hybrid. Ooh, yeah, you should worry, Tom. For one, priority 20 is a stock order, and they were not going to build a hybrid stock unit. So I would be worried there. I don't know if they can change that party code to a 10 and change it over to retail now or not. I know they can change equipment. Not sure if they can change that priority, but you definitely need to go into your dealership and and let them know this needs to be a retail order type. I'd like a priority 10 and see if they could do that. I would contact them tomorrow. That is very important. They did not order that correctly. So, all right, Mr. Sean, do you know if the 23 Ford Maverick specs will be the same as the 22 Ford Maverick? For the most part, probably. So you probably can kind of figure out how you want to do it, but there will be some updates and some changes. Every year there's always some, some tweaks, some updates, something new, something's changed, some color changes, different things like that. There may be some package changes. I really hope they take the liners out of the XLT luxury package. I think that would make it so much easier. So hopefully they make that change next year. And hopefully they listen to people and let them know that. But so they may make some tweaks like that on the Bronco Sport. They did that for this year. They took out the moonroof, which was an issue last year in getting a lot of those scheduled because of the moonroof being included into some of those packages. So for this year, they took the moonroof out of it and made a standalone option. So they will make some tweaks like that. All right, Matt. I ordered from McArthur and never received an email. Not sure why. Some of our early, and especially if it was an early one, we did not realize, because this system of how we were ordering these is pretty new, back in June and July, and so we were not aware of making sure we had that in there. There are a bunch of orders, since we had about 165 orders by mid-July, just within 1 month. We tried going into everybody's orders and making sure their email addresses and everything were in there, and we did miss a few. Yours might have been one that we missed. So I think at this point, I don't think we can tweak it, but as long as it's not scheduled, I think we can add that to there. You will not get the confirmation email, but you'd get once it's scheduled, you would get that email. So make sure you reach out to me, timothybartz@gmail. I can help you, or I can also, if you want to contact your salesperson, one of those things, and we can see if we can get that added to your order. We'll see if the sales manager can help me with that. So, but that's probably what happened there. And like I said, that was you were probably one of our early orders there. All right, so I heard on a review that Lariat Luxury got a different backup camera. Any truth to that? No, don't think so. So, don't believe so. It should be the same camera. So, all right, Mark asked, Tim, when do you expect to get an updated constraint list? Probably next week. So, yeah, because we should be doing wholesale real soon. So, probably next week. All right, so let's see. All right. Is it true there is special financing for all hybrid orders? All Maverick orders, and not necessarily specific to just hybrids. So unless there's something that's come out I may not be aware of. So sometimes I don't always focus on the incentives and such with what I do. So I don't get into that aspect of the business and dealership, but there could be, and it could be a special deal for hybrid orders, but it's usually specific to just the trim or the model itself. Sometimes on F-150s it's dedicated to the trim and incentives are, but typically when it's low percentage rate, it's for all vehicles in that model lineup. So. And I do know that the Mavericks in general are getting like a 0% for 36, I believe, right now, at least going through January 3rd. Not sure what they'll do after that. Will there be a leasing program for the Maverick? There should be. The Maverick would be a good vehicle to lease. And in fact, if you go on to Ford's Build and Price right now and you go to the summary, you do have options for lease and finance as well. So just remember that. All right. Is Ford giving accessories due to delays? I do know on the hybrid vehicles, you should have got an email about a fit system kit that you should be getting from Ford. So they're gonna, I think, give that out to everybody that had a hybrid, just because of the issues and the delay on the hybrid. Really haven't been a delay on the EcoBoost engine. So, all right. So Gary said, is priority code 80 as bad as 90? 80 is, hopefully that's not that's something that you ordered specifically as a retail order, because 80 also is, anything from 20 to 80 is a stock order. So that is going to be ordered as a unit for a dealership, and right now, Ford will prioritize all of the retail orders over the stock orders. So if we have, for instance, if we have like, okay, let's just use an example here. So we have, going back to my dashboard for Webdo here. So we have, well, let's see here, like on Edge. So let's say we have, right now we have 2 allocations for this month, and um, we have a bunch of stock orders in there, but we have no retail orders. So at this case, we have 2 allocations, and they're going to pull our stock orders. But let's say I have 2 retail orders in there, and the rest are stock orders, and I have 2 allocations. They're going to prioritize those allocations to those retail orders first, and that's how that's going to work. So that's usually why you would see that. So if that one there is an 80, I would try to get them to switch that to a retail order and move that to a something under 20, because then that way Ford will look at it. Because otherwise, if the dealership has 10 stock orders and they only have 5 allocations, yours won't be looked at, because it'll probably and just depends on how it's equipped and such. But that's the difference on that. So you definitely want to make sure, especially if it's on a Maverick, you don't want to. Right now, we have seen, other than the first 3 that we received that was scheduled back in August, we have not seen any stock allocations or stock orders for the Maverick. We are supposed to be getting a couple from the region that they've earned, but I haven't seen those yet. All right, any other questions? My hybrid is showing up on my dealership's inventory already. It was built November 22nd. Okay, well, yours was ordered as a stock probably, because they should not show up on the dealership website unless it was ordered as a stock unit. That's the only ones, because the Ford system and a lot of the dealer websites like us, we're a Ford Direct dealer, so our website's a Ford Direct website. So when you look at our website, the only thing that's showing up, all of our in-transits that are showing up on our website are stock orders. They can differentiate the stock versus retail order types. And so what's supposed to happen is anything that was ordered as a retail should not show up. Once it's in transit, should not show up on a dealer's website. So if your Maverick is showing up, now you might look at the VIN number and see if it matches to the VIN number, but your Maverick should not be showing up on there. If it is, then they ordered it as a stock unit, not as a retail unit. And that's probably what happened there. So like for us, we just had 3 Mavericks show up today, and we have some others that are in transit. And we have 1 Maverick shown on the website, and that's the one that the customer did not take. So you can see that the 3 that just came in that should show up on our website as in transit are not there, because they were ordered for customers. They were ordered as retail. So hopefully that helps out there. All right, Jack says, Tim, my build date was 12/13, then 12/20, now 1/3 per my dealer. Any examples of build dates ever being pushed back? Yeah, there's been a lot, especially if yours is a hybrid. That's pretty common right now. I think I think some of them they're just pushing back. They're just kind of pushing back because they're not able maybe to ship those out. And I know on the hybrids, even we didn't have any that scheduled for any December build dates, because they knew that there was going to be issues with getting them shipped out, so they didn't want to build anymore, I don't think, for the month of December and have those sitting there. So I know that they had ones that were built. See, ours were built in November, I think. If I remember right, I think our 13 were built in November, and so they were built in November, and so they've been sitting there until they could ship them out. So those now can be shipped out, but I know that they didn't want to focus in and on a bunch of hybrids that they couldn't ship out until December. So I think they were pushing some of those hybrid orders, build dates, like yours, where they were going to build them in December. I think they're kind of pushing those back just so they can get these other ones out and off of their the factory lot and such, and get those moved, and so they can start focusing on more, and then have it more fluid of being built, shipped, and that kind of thing. So. All right, good question though. Good question. So, all right. Excuse me. All right, thanks for all the questions, and also, of course, thanks for our new member there. Well, not sure what your first name is, but anyway, thanks for joining there and popped up on the screen. Appreciate that. And let's see here. All right. There's another question. I'm becoming more and more concerned about my 726 EcoBoost order, Larry order. Could the spray and bed liner be a holdup? Well, if it was a standalone spray and liner, maybe. So I'm not sure what dealership you had yours with, but don't need it if it's not with us. You might want to check and see if they got all of the paperwork in, and such on it. Again, on an EcoBoost order, that you could still put that paperwork in, but something that's built. We don't have too many EcoBoost orders that aren't that were scheduled in July, or I mean ordered in July, that haven't been scheduled, because those should be a pretty quick turn. So if yours hasn't been scheduled yet, I would probably be a little concerned on your order. The bed liner could be the holdup, not having allocations from that dealer, but more than likely, I mean, you might want to check and see if all the documents were submitted and you got the approval from the ROVP. So you might check with them and say, hey, did my all my documents go through and get approved? Did you do it through ROVP? Because I should be scheduled by now, I would think. Excuse me. All right. So what am I drinking? So I am drinking G Fuel. If you've heard of that, my son got me into these. So not that I'm like they're not gonna send me anything free anyway, but G Fuel is a family-owned company. Actually, you can only order these online. Really, they came up with these, and they're kind of basing all of them off of gamers, different gamers. And this is actually the flavor is inspired by Tetris, the game Tetris, and really love this flavor. But what's great about these is they're 0 calories, so no calories, and they use natural fruit flavors to flavor those. So I really like these. And a lot of times I order these online. I order them a case at a time and just have them come to the dealer or come to the house there. And I love them. So you could check them out. G Fuel. If you're into energy drinks, I think they're a little bit better for you than the Monsters and such like that. But anyway, you can always contact G Fuel and let them know I advertise their drink. Do you know of any tax rebates for hybrid Maverick? No. Normally, you have to have like a plug-in or an all-electric to get tax rebates. I have I have a confirmed or hybrid order from late July. It hasn't been scheduled yet that I know of, but the links in the Ford email are no longer working. Should I worry? I wouldn't think so. Yours should hopefully get scheduled real soon. So you could always check with your dealer and make sure your order's in there. You can always call Ford as well. Ford customer service, they can actually see, yep, if yours is in there and it's being processed, they can see that it's still a viable order and everything. But you shouldn't be worried. I mean, my Bronco order was in the system from January clear through till August, September before I got scheduled. So they will sit in there, and they should be in there and should be able to see it without any problems. It's a funny way to say Jack Daniels. No, no. Don't drink much alcohol. All right, so let's see. Kip, you said, Tim, I might have missed this, but are they going to pick Maverick for 5 weeks in January, and how many will be hybrids? They should. I know that they're scheduling because they really haven't scheduled any Mavericks this month. So this is the last week of I think it's the last week. Next week may be the week that they may carry over. But most of them are going to get scheduled this week. And from what I understand, there's going to be scheduling for most of the dates in January. So that is true. I think somebody had posted that. And that is pretty true there. Let me check my email that I got from them, and it'll link over to that, I believe, for scheduling. There we go. I can pull that up, but yeah, I think they're scheduling for the entire month of January this week. So okay, so I'll go down to the Maverick. It says in here, yep, it does say they're scheduling. It says week 5, but it says for build week 1/3 to 1/31. So they are doing for the entire month this week. So that is, yeah. So it is going to be a big week, and a lot of customers, a lot of orders should get scheduled this week. So be looking at your emails on Thursday. All right. Any other questions for me here? Well, I would advertise G Fuel every week on the live stream if they would send me free G Fuel. Just saying that. Can Blake tell me how much I be added to an upcoming Bronco with the tires and a lift kit package? Um, yeah, Blake can probably get that information. I'm not sure how much, taller. Just putting, because I'm figuring it's going to be about 1.5 inches for just the tires alone. Um, well, you got to think you're going from 32s to 33 to 35-inch tires alone. You're 3 inches, but my assumption is cut it in half. You know, so that's my assumption is going to be about 1 inch lift just by putting the tires on there. If you put another lift on top of it, you're probably getting a couple inches there. I think if you put the level kit on it, you're probably 2 inches just for the wheels and a level. But if you're actually going to lift it anymore, then just add that. How much of a lift more you're going to get onto that probably. So. All right, so I ordered an XL. Do you ever have extra wheels from the XLT trim, for example? A couple times. We do. We actually had a customer that got. We put a lift and some different wheels and tires on one of the general manager's vehicle, and so we upgraded those wheels to that. So the wheels that he had, we put on an XL, so a customer is able to purchase those from that vehicle. So if we do any other lifts or any other wheels like that, and we can, if they had like a luxury package or something, it's their choice to keep those wheels, or we can actually, credit them some for those wheels. And then when we do that, then we can put those wheels like maybe on an XL or something like that. So, always check with us. We can always see if we have any extra wheels. Right now, I don't think we have any on any. We haven't had too many builds. I think we've only had like that have come in so far. We have a lot of people that are wanting when theirs comes in to put a lift and wheels and tires on it. So if they do that and they don't want those, we can credit them and buy those from them, and then we could have those available for you, or we could just order some aftermarket ones if you're wanting something like that. Are there any tax credit on plug-in hybrid? I'm not aware of plug-in. I know there is for all electric, but I wasn't aware. Maybe somebody else can answer that question, but or maybe I can do some research on it. But I don't know if there's any credit you get for a plug-in hybrid. I know again on all electric there would be, but I should have just ordered a Maverick from McArthur Ford, but live in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate those that have trusted us for the order, but whether you order with us or not, I'm happy to answer questions and such. Again, if you do call and you're wanting answers to questions and you call the dealership, I do a lot of my callbacks on Wednesday and Thursday. I just because of the getting ready for the live stream, usually Tuesday, I concentrate mostly on prepping for that, and sometimes even on Monday. And such. And then Wednesday, Thursday afternoons are good afternoons for me to do callbacks. So if you do call and ask questions, just know that, maybe one of our sales guys could help you get those answers. But if you're wanting to talk to me and get a call back from me, I usually do those on Wednesday and Thursdays. And then Fridays, I usually got to prep for meetings and such that I have on Saturday. So those are the best days for me to do callbacks. And sometimes I can do some on Friday as well. But so. Okay, Steven had a good question. Does your Bronco have the mount for the GoPro on the dashboard? Okay, so there is the basically the female end for a 1/4-inch screw that's there, and so I've seen in a lot of videos they've showed like the system that can come across. So the hole's up there at the top, but that's all. So the little, I don't know, the track or whatever that they mentioned, I haven't seen where you can buy those anywhere yet. But what I did was I ordered a little mount. I ordered a little screw. I don't have them. They're actually in my Bronco right now. I ordered a screw, which is a 1/4 inch on top and bottom. I ordered on Amazon, and you can just screw that into the top to that hole, and then you can go ahead and mount about any GoPro, any like mount that has a, an attachment on. Here, I got some here. I'll just show you. So I should have some of those in my bag here. So any like your camera shoot, like screw or something like that, would actually work. Here, hold on, let me pull this up because I can't see what I'm doing. All right, so like anything like that. Whoa, come on, zoom in. Anything like that will go into that. So that's what I did. Is I ordered one of those so that I could screw these mounts in, or a GoPro mount will fit into that too, and that way I can go ahead and mount my GoPro and that kind of stuff onto it. And I actually did order a different ones like that, so I can actually put that. I can use this for my phone if I want to, and so that kind of thing. But anyway, so that would be my suggestion. So there you do have that that on it, so you can put that on there. Okay, any other questions? My dealer is asking $5,000 deposit on Lightning. Is this okay in your opinion? We're gonna probably do 500 or 1,000. Probably really depends on what we do. Is we do it by feel of. We usually ask for at least 500 on most orders. We didn't on Maverick, just because we didn't feel like about any of those we could probably resell, because the builds aren't that crazy. But on the Lightning, there may be some, it might be a little more difficult. So we are going to probably do either anything from 500 or 1,000. And the difference is why we might ask for 1,000 is if it's something that we struggle to sell. And I know a lot of people are thinking you can sell every Lightning you have, but not necessarily, because there's some pretty crazy builds you can do on an F-150. And so I've seen some people put some things on there that's like, we're never going to be able to resell that. So a little harder on the Lightning. But when we have somebody that orders an F-150, like I've commented in the past, I don't know if I'm on my live streams, but my videos, that if, like my father's truck, we would struggle to go ahead and be able to sell his, because he orders as a long bed, he orders the EcoBoost engine, he orders the big mirrors, and people sometimes don't like those mirrors, but he is towing his camper with that and that kind of thing. And so the way he orders is, it may not be something that's going to be easy for us to sell. So that's the difference of why we would maybe ask for a 500 versus $1,000 deposit. It may be based on how you order your vehicle. So, all right, somebody up here said plug-in hybrid tax credit. It's a percentage of what is battery versus gas. It is no longer. If it has longer range, it has more tax credit. Oh, good to know. Cool. All right, good. I don't know it all. I appreciate the help there. All right. You leave the Windows sticker on the vehicles when you ship them from your dealership. I would like to keep mine when it comes in. You want to make sure you get with your salesperson on that. Usually they do take those off. They take them off pretty carefully, and they usually fold them and put them in a glove box. If you do want that on, like I did, I actually mounted mine. Then I let our wash line, our detail line, take it off of the vehicle, but I had them not fold it, just bring it to me, and so that I could frame it, because I wanted it. I didn't want any. I says I want no. I don't want any tear marks. I don't want any creases. Nothing. So make sure you get with your salesperson, so we make sure that happens. We'll do any requests. So we've had customers. We just had one that was dropped off. I can't remember where it was dropped off, but it was delivered today at someone's house, and they didn't want any of the plastic taken off or any of the stickers left on the windows and everything. They want to take all of that off, and we can do the same thing. So just you need to let your salesperson know, so that the person that does a setup knows not to take any of the plastic off, and if we get it cleaned up on the outside before getting picked up and shipped off, we want to make sure that we don't do any of those things to it. So just makes it easier for them, because that's just less things that they have to contend with when they're cleaning the vehicle and getting it ready to go off onto a truck. So any other questions? Did I miss any? I'd like to answer everybody's questions. I know somebody had commented, I think, on last week's video that this stream was boring, and so I don't try to make it boring, but I do want to try to answer everybody's questions that I can. And I do tend to ramble, because I just can't stand to not have anything being said. All right, so somebody said I live in Florida and ordered my Maverick from McArthur just before TG. Just because the info that Tim gives. Oh, thanks, appreciate that. I try to be transparent. I've always wanted to be treated like I'd be treated, and want to, if I have questions, I want to be able to answer people's questions. So I always try to pride myself in thinking like a customer thinks, and because I am a customer, because I like to get vehicles too. So August 20th, Tim, August 20th. Do you think I might make this Thursday build date coming up? You know what? Probably. Hopefully. So we'll see. Um, August 20th is kind of out there. I'd almost think maybe not this one, but maybe the next one. But we'll really depends on your dealership and how many orders they have in and that kind of thing, and how many allocations they have. But it really will differentiate between your, what what your dealership has for orders. So every dealership can be different, every region can be different, and that kind of thing. Because I know our region gets a few less than other regions, especially if you're in a region in California and such, they have a lot more scheduled. So it really is based on what your region gets for allocations, and then breaks it down from dealership from there. All right, so let's see here. All right. I signed up for the college student discount. I was approved, but it expired literally the next day. Is it something most dealerships would honor, or should? That is actually a Ford rebate. So dealership cannot give you that. It's actually something that comes from Ford, and it really, you might look and see if you submitted the rebate and it's the time frame for the rebates and incentives, they refresh every month, or if it's when you graduated from college, because I know it's a certain period of time after you graduate. So if that's elapsed, then I'm not sure about that. But you might be able to see if they can honor when you ordered your vehicle for those rebates. So that might be something that maybe the dealership can be able to try to see if they can do. I'm not sure how that would work, but for sure. But that might be something that may be possible. So we always here at Long McArthur, we always try to say, hey, we'll try every avenue, we'll try everything we can for a customer. Especially if they're looking to get a vehicle and we can't get them approved, we try every avenue, everything we can think of to try to help a customer get in a vehicle or get a vehicle. Because if you guys don't buy a vehicle, or you can't get approved for a vehicle, then we don't sell a vehicle. So it's a win-win for everybody. So we try to do everything we can to help a customer out. If they're really wanting to get a vehicle, we want to make sure that we do go above and beyond to give them everything they can, because those are rebates and incentives. Those are not from us. Those are what you get as a customer. So rebates and such, the dealership gets nothing from that. So by being able to find those rebates for you, that benefits you, that lowers your payment, that only helps us as a dealership to help you get a better rate and get a better payment on a loan. All right. Anything else? Oh, okay. Let me move up here. I think there's a question I missed. I might have missed it. I'm scrolling up here. I think Hector had a question, and I don't see it. Maybe we could repost that there. All right. Love the videos. Keep it up. Thank you. All right. So all right. Love all the comments. So we have 470 people in the stream tonight. I really appreciate every one of you jumping in here. I know in some weeks it's 200-300, and to have 400, almost 500, I really appreciate everybody watching here on the live stream. So if we don't have any more questions, I think we had one for, oh, there it is. Can cruise control be added to the XL? If so, we'll avoid the warranty. There's supposed to be some companies working on that. I don't think anybody has a fix yet on that, but I know they're trying to come up with some things. But I am not aware of it. You might want to check with some aftermarket companies and such. maybe look online and such. But there's somebody will eventually come out with a cruise for those probably. But right now, I don't think they're ready yet. I know that there was a vendor that was looking to get their hands on a Maverick so they could test it out, and they were like trying to find somebody that had an XL that they could borrow and try to work on the cruise. And we have a lot of vendors here that, a lot of aftermarket companies that say, hey, can we borrow one of your F-150s, or whatever, because we want to try to see if we can fit this, or we need to do I know Thunderstruck works real closely with us here and borrows some of our trucks so they can try to get the measurements and everything and work on getting a grill guard, or a grill guard and such to be able to fit on those when we get new model years and some things like that. So we like to be able to do that and help them. So I know that there was a company out there working on that. How are your Bronco orders going? Still getting new ones? Seeing any hardtops? Yes. We do actually have, we had scheduled 13 or 14 this month. So still trying to get those 21 orders all fulfilled there. So we're still have those. So it's going pretty good. We're getting about 13 or so allocations a month on Broncos. And we are getting some in. We got some in last week, a couple of them in, and now we got a couple that are waiting to get theirs in. It should be in any time now. And I think we looked, and we're supposed to be getting like close to 20 between now and the end of the year, I believe. I can't remember exactly the number. I think maybe that was more in the teens, but I think we're gonna get like 16 between now and the end of January. I think that's the dates we were looking for. But so any hard tops? Yeah, some of those. One of the sales guys that sits right across from me, Derek Stidham, he has a Bronco on order, a 2-door with the hard top, and his is supposed to be here last week, so his is supposed to be here any time now. Does a retail verification process ensure the dealerships do not overcharge customer orders? That has nothing to do with pricing, so they can still. That just makes sure that they order the vehicles correctly. They can still price them what they want to. All right. Order my Maverick and Escape from McArthur. Yep, we got those orders in. Oh, keeps jumping on me. All right. Cool. So great. Thanks for all the great questions. Every week I always think, hey, man, I've answered so many questions. What are they going to ask me this week? Or we're going to get any questions this week? So I might have to move that my topic up a little bit, because this week I struggled with questions in between there. So next week you need to come with your questions ready so we can answer them in the first set of session there. But I really do appreciate all the questions here and the great conversations going on amongst all of you in there in the chat. Maybe does Ford pay the salaries of employees, or is it through the localized process? If you're talking about the factory workers, I'm assuming Ford takes care of that. But when it comes to the dealerships, they have to make an agreement with Ford, but the dealerships pay the dealership employees' salaries. So that's why you see, when there's a limited number, the supply and demand of how many vehicles are on dealer lots versus and such. We've seen a lot of Ford dealerships go out of business during COVID because they had no vehicles to sell. Without selling vehicles, they can't pay their people, and then you have some of those having to lay people off because they don't have the inventory to be able to pay them the commissions that they would get. So that's why sometimes when you see a lower number of vehicles at dealerships, and right now you see the prices go up, because if they're going to sell less vehicles, then they make more in each vehicle. So, that's how that would work. And that's why supply and demand is so, that's so important to some of those dealerships just to survive and get through this, like a dealership like us. So, all right. So we got a question here. If it is boring, why, then why they are here? I was thinking the same thing, and I hold my tongue sometimes on some of those, but this lives are really helpful. These lives are really helpful for lots of people. I don't pay attention to those people. We love the channel. Oh, thank you very much. So I love getting the positive feedback from you guys, and you guys have been so supportive, so I appreciate that. And, it's funny because it was years ago that I was doing the walk-around videos where I do the new vehicle walk-arounds, where I go very detailed and go covering all the different equipment. And I almost stopped doing those types of videos until I got some positive feedback from people that said, this is great videos. This is exactly what I was looking for. And then I was able to continue that. So getting those comments is always great, just so that I can make sure that I'm providing what you guys are wanting. So these videos and these lives are for you guys, not necessarily for me. So I want to be able to provide the content that you're wanting. So I do appreciate that positive feedback, so I can continue to bring you what you're looking for. So if there's something different you'd like to see on the live stream, let me know that. Email those to the email address, the fordvideoguy@gmail. So if you'd like to see, hey, you can do this or do that, I love getting that. I know some people have given me some feedback on the audio quality and such, so I try to make some tweaks. So I appreciate all that feedback, so we can make this the best. All right, just didn't want to. Oh, yeah, didn't want the window sticker thrown away. Don't listen. Okay, yeah, window stickers, we never usually throw away. Any of the stickers that come on the vehicles, we always usually throw them, and we always, not throw them, but we put them in the glove box for you. So you'll have those. But if you want that in not folded and such, because those are kind of big, then let us know, so we can leave that on the vehicle and you can take it off yourself. All right. Well, I appreciate all the kudos. Thank you for everybody commenting there. But then I'm an engineer and love the detail that you contribute to all the information. So great. Well, I appreciate that. So all right. Make sure I've answered all the questions before we end the live stream here, but it is 8:30. So again, thanks to everybody for following along. I do have 458 people watching right now and 158 likes. So everybody smash the like button before you leave the stream. If you're not subscribed, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell. That way you can get notified next time we have another video uploaded to the channel. Don't forget to also share this out if you want to become a member, learn more about it by clicking that join button down there. I think I've said everything. I do appreciate that nobody clicked the dislike, so I appreciate that. But remember the like button, not the dislike. And also don't forget, you can share this out. And I will have the podcast version uploaded tonight, usually here by 10 o'clock. I'll probably have that. It doesn't take that long to be able to post on there. And you can find that in the description. I have a link to that right off of our website, McArthur.com/fordvideoguy, and you can see the stream there. You can also go to your favorite podcast channels. I have it on about all of them. I think I'm on Stitcher, Pandora, and all those. I think the Apple one, I even think I have that one set up. I don't use Apple Store very much, but I think it's up on there as well. So you should be able to find those on your favorite streaming platforms and podcast platforms as well. So again, thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate everybody. So have a great week, and I hope everybody gets scheduled on Thursday. I know that's not going to happen. We have over 400 orders and 117 allocations, but hopefully you get scheduled this week if you haven't already for a January build date, which is my birthday month, by the way. So for those of you that get scheduled the week of the 23rd, then that's a very special week for you. So I really appreciate everybody watching the video. And until next week, we'll see you later. Have a great week.